Volemo lainguranye langle Sentient TV akara ratan kumok na greata na wa endai na rasinka sini intro na pelo sholor masai en kapipi ne rubulunye ya rwankishu na yulur ko aklang ne yulo si dubu krogi orkira manyunet oklor masai ai already ya no imba enkisuma ni gerare nkati ni na dede kabisa yani tofauti oleng amu enkera yana na isome eshomongo api etarito sine shetolosho etesheta sukuli isumangayo etarito pooki tung'ani pooki osho itashete samburu omitashote Masai Mara neeku kayieu ake niun enkiyokino tiatua Sentient TV mekiata nkumok nikigira aretenakiyie tialiana akini. Nico, karibu sana Fatima, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right,
Yes.
okay. This is Sentient TV, and thank you for scheduling time with us today. And so you're welcome to Sentient TV. I know a lot of viewers would really like to hear your story today.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
so exactly just to start with, because, people will be looking at this kind of image and they'll be like, oh, is this? So looks a lot of English.
Yeah.
British English has never been easy, right?
No.
Yes, and especially for the masses, babies and, the girls and maybe the boys back at home because of the kind of environment they've been brought up with. And so just with brief elaboration, tell us who Fatima exactly is.
Thank you so much. I'm Fatima Higanda.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Baragoi in Samburu County. I went to Baragoi Primary School.
Mm-hmm.
We normally joke around and say it's Baragoi Full Primary School. And then from there I went to St. Teresa's Girls, that is in Wamba. And from there, then I went to my high school. I did in Rurumo High School. And then went to do my university in India. So that's my educational part of what I've done, and that's my studies. And then from India, I basically moved to Sweden. So that's where I reside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married in Sweden.
All right.
I had 2 daughters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So the oldest one, unfortunately, she turned 26 and she passed away.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that loss.
And the youngest one is 17 years old, Sophie.
Sophie.
Yes.
First of all, let me be sorry for that kind of loss that you've gotten. And I know it's never easy for a mother, but I'm happy because you're strong enough and you're still building the community and you still stand out. Yeah, being from a marginalized community and then you go represent your people outside the country, you take your education successfully, and again, you get married to the foreigner. That means we stood out there. That's why you were chosen, right? So in Sweden, how was life in Sweden?
Life in Sweden wasn't easy in the beginning, just because when I arrived there, that was during the depressions.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't easy finding a job or having an income.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized that I could actually do something. So that's why I started my business path. And I started with a coffee house.
All
And
right.
then from there, I just continued developing more and doing a lot of things.
All right.
Yeah. Today, I sit as like the ambassador for trade and industry for my area, which means like every investment, international investment and all that. That's my duty to my line of work. So that's my responsibility. But at the same time, Sweden is a very nice country.
Mm-hmm.
It's they take a lot of foreigners.
All right.
Yeah, and they are quite open people,
No
kind
racism.
people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Racism, the last 3 years, it's been coming up. But before then, it's been like a heaven for most migrants living there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Just before we get into becoming a businesswoman and maybe venturing into your career, maybe building up and becoming a trade ambassador in your community, like there are particular challenges that a marginalized girl like one of you from Baragoi goes through.
Yeah.
Like, how did you manage them? Like, for you to, it was just easy. You had very supportive parents because you understand the kind of environment you brought up in?
No, I was brought up with, even if I came from a family that was gay, but my dad divorced my mom, or my mom divorced my dad actually because he married a second wife, and it was tough. My mom brought us up, and she did all kind of, work and everything just to feed for the family. And remember, we are 9 kids, so it wasn't easy. But at the same time, I think we realized quite early enough that the only thing that will take you out of this is education.
Sure.
Yeah, it's education. So that's one of the things that I realized quite easily, and I studied hard. I competed with the boys.
I know.
Yeah, and even if I could become number 2, I was so mad at it and all that. So I really studied hard.
You really
And
did.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
I did.
And congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Now that you are really so determined and you really did it to your level best, and you're now in Sweden, you married to Sweden, and you've got kids. Being a mother has never been easy, right?
Yeah.
You have businesses that you started with.
Yeah.
How was your coffee business in the beginning?
In the beginning, actually, it went well because I got a niche market. I studied when we came. A lot of foreigners came to my city, and they came like from the former Yugoslavia and all this. And they had a culture of sitting in the evenings and having coffee. But there was nowhere in my town that they could have coffees in the evening. So I came up with an idea to have a coffee shop that was open 24 hours. Meaning that when you went out, they'll come from the nightclubs and just pass by and all this. So it became a success.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've just got to hear plenty of some stories, and I see a lot of articles done on you that you actually started an initiative.
Yeah.
And I think this is what makes you to become a trade ambassador, or what is it? Where did the brand ambassador for the region come from?
I think it came after. I am one of the people who started the first microfinance institute in Sweden, and that wasn't easy because, we had groups that needed microfinance, but at the same time, the Swedish government felt like, starting a microfinance will just give Sweden a name like a third world country.
Yeah, sure.
So the fight that I took with the government and doing all these things.
All right, you talked about starting a microfinance because there are a lot of people really needed maybe finance to be financed by institutions.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the idea?
It was quite simple. Having seen how microfinance worked in developing countries, so we had the idea about microfinance.
All right.
But it wasn't easy just because the Swedish government did not think that it was appropriate in a way, and it was going to take them back looking like this is like a developing country. But we managed, and we got a special license from the government to start the microfinance, and we got help from the European Microfinance Network, from the European Development Fund, and all this. So then we could start.
All right. Was it to the entire people, or maybe to the migrants? Who are you actually trying to benefit at most?
Women.
It
was only women. It was targeted to women.
Wow. So you started the women empowerment right from Sweden, not even Africa.
Yes.
All right.
So because we know, and it's truly having seen a single mother handling and doing everything for the 9 kids and managing to do that. So I believe in the power of women.
Oh, I get the point. So your mom became a motivation.
Yes.
For you to empower other women.
Yes.
All right.
And just like I could come from school during the holidays, and she was like, you cannot sit at home because she was trying. This was a long time ago when they had this adult education.
All right.
Kumbaro for women. So she would tell me go to the villages. Saidia kina mama to learn how to read and write, and try to empower them through just to have money of their own and talk about that.
Yeah.
So starting businesses. So I was out actually talking to akina mamas in the villages were trying to teach them how to read and write.
All
So
right.
I was 13, 14 years old.
You
when I
really did a
started.
lot of volunteering,
Yeah,
right from day one.
yeah. But that
Yeah.
one was forced by my mom.
Which actually she's really built you, because
Yes.
her initiating you into that, you see, has made you a better person
Yeah.
today that we can celebrate and even start looking for to cover stories. You
Yeah, I
understand?
know.
Okay, fine. Now that after this finance kind of thing, did you now move to Kenya and start supporting African women, or you just stayed in Sweden? And how did it come about?
The first time actually, the first projects I did was not even in because during the microfinance part. So we had together with the Oxfam Novib of the Netherlands. I was engaged in a lot of organizations in Africa. So I've been from Ghana to Senegal to Togo to Kenya, Uganda, and all this. So we were working with the migrants with their remittance, that money that they sent back, so that it could benefit the communities.
All right.
So from there, I started the first project I was in Tanzania, working with women groups. And I believe the first project I did in Kenya was 2005 in Homa Bay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, we put up a youth center.
All right.
But the youth center was being driven by women. Homa Bay was an area that was more affected of the HIV and all this. So it was a lot of orphans that were being taken care of, with a lot of women taking care of these kids. Right. So we decided to do something and put up a center and train the women. We did chili farming from whatever. So it was a lot of work. All right. Yeah. So that's where I started doing projects in Kenya.
All right. Yeah. Apart from the finance, actually, because it's an upcoming question on that, apart from it actually supporting maybe and empowering women, are there some particular things that you look into women that will be like, these are the ones who should benefit out of this amount of money, or rather this specific amount of money? You get a point? Like, for instance, now you've talked about Homa Bay.
Yeah.
Homa Bay was a place that maybe by then HIV was a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you had such target areas, like.
Yeah, we do. And that's where we'll come in when we come into the foundation, that the areas we look at.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And so if we continue then, and how I continued with my work until we come to the foundation, then I can go in.
All right. Yeah. Now, when did you kick off? I'm really waiting for this. Did you kick off this kind of thing, like you guys help institutions, build institutions, you donate, I don't know what, plenty of things, sanitary towels, you talked about uniforms. You know, I'm really so much interested, like, you guys must be gifted and you have a lot of work also. Yeah. So
basically working in Kajiado County, that we've done for a very long time. And this was through different organizations that were there. Like
you can just name a few.
With Agnes Leina.
All right.
So we were in the AIC school, and this was before we started the foundation. So we've been there in these areas doing a lot of things. So when my daughter passed away, I felt like instead of just doing it through other organizations, because we have the Amina Myren Foundation in Sweden. So the question was just to also establish it in Kenya, which we did last year in June, I believe. And then we started our work in August last year. But there we have been clearly that we want to target the pastoralist community, meaning that we work like in Kajiado County, Samburu County, Narok County, and some other Isiolo, because there are a lot of movement between Samburu County and Isiolo County. And
Marsabit?
And Marsabit. Most of our efforts, actually, most of it has been between Kajiado and Narok. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So between Kajiado and Narok, are you seeing that those are the most marginalized people who are still into, they're not into women empowerment, or what really made you focus on Kajiado and Narok?
Yes, mostly because these are our people. That's the same. I can still see some pictures where I don't like how things are developing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going quite slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe we can do a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but especially when it comes to educating our girls.
Mm-hmm.
And since I've said, and I keep repeating that if
Mm.
we want to change our society,
Mm.
it has to be through education.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing we looked at. Our girls are actually, they have a lot of challenges.
Okay.
Our women have a lot of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
We know they can,
Mm-hmm.
but they can be just like lacking funds or lacking motivation, lacking mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just small, bit dog, or even you just look at this and say, this is something we can actually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. For you now, like you're focusing on these things. Can you just name a few things that you do for these women to empower them?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the strategies that you guys are using in this kind of thing, so that you ensure that they go successfully?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I can just say like the MAA-MBA Foundation is focused on just keeping girls in school.
All right.
And keeping girls in school means that we are looking at the challenges that the girls are having. It can be like water, it can be like sanitary pads, it can be like school uniforms, it can be like not be able to pay the school fees. And that's where we revolve all our work.
Right.
So like in Kajiado now, if we take an example of from Sajiloni Secondary School to Oltiane Primary School, Secondary School. So there we've actually built classrooms in Oltiane Secondary School because the teachers didn't have a possibility of where to sit, and the classrooms were few. So to see that the girls can have that environment, a good environment, that's how we did it. We built, renovated and built their toilets. The sanitary block was something that was actually quite important for a lot of girls. So we did that in the secondary school. We've done that in the primary school. We've seen that together with our partners that there's a feeding program for the kids. School uniform we've provided. We were there yesterday, and I think we bought like 30 uniforms for the girls. But my aim, and by the end of this year, that all the needy kids in the school will have school uniforms. So we started a program with that. We've provided over 600 reusable sanitary pads to the girls, because that's something also that keeps them from school when they have during that time of the month. So that's something we've also done. We put boreholes and with not just boreholes, because I like sustainability. It's like, I drill a borehole and then tomorrow I come back that there's nothing. So we have solar powered boreholes like in Isiolo schools, and that feed like is about 400 families actually around the school. So even if we are doing water projects, it's not just for the school or for the girls, but we see that the community around gets their water and everything that they need.
Right.
So that's it. In Narok, we're empowering the mamas there, because most of them do not have the possibility of school fees. And what we've done with them is they wanted some sewing machines so that they can make school uniforms. We use them actually to make these reusable sanitary pads.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Yeah, so meaning we put the order for them and then we buy from them and then distribute it among the schools.
All right.
They can make lasers, they can make sugars and everything. The only business I haven't gone in and I will not encourage is this Ushangas. That's something.
The Ushanga initiative, in other words.
Yeah, I won't do it.
Could you please tell us the reason why?
No, because today in Kenya everybody does shangas.
Sure.
So how is the market? Mbakata, you go to Kikuyus, they are doing the shangas.
It's
so
a common thing.
where is this the niche for this mama? So yeah, there is a market that you can do. We can niche it in a way, but it's not things that I encourage today. All right. And on top of that, because bidding has another meaning in Samburu. When you want to marry a young girl, so for me, it's like it's always stuck in my mind with
Ushanga.
Yeah,
right. Now, you just mentioned a few schools, like for example, the one you donated with, it's called Allah. The one in Gong, Kiserian.
Kiseri,
Yeah.
Oltiani Primary School, we're there. And we're also in Oltiani Secondary School. And that's a school actually I'm going to put much effort